There's a glow that's burning in the night. I can see it on the other side. Are we dancing into paradise on your streets of gold? On your streets of gold, there's a love that's waiting to ignite. I can feel it burning deep inside. Are we dancing into paradise on your streets of gold? On your streets of gold. Hallelujah. Hear the choir singing. Hallelujah. Hear the church bells ringing. Come on up. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Shine a light of good for all to see, full of hope and love and melody. We're all dancers waiting to be free on your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. Hallelujah. Hear the choir singing. Hallelujah. Hear the church bells ringing. Come on up. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Come on up. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul.
Walk on the streets that are made of gold. We will walk on the streets that are made of gold. Walk on the streets that are made of gold. We will walk on the streets that are. Oh, hallelujah.
Hear the choir singing.
Hallelujah.
Hear the church bells ringing.
Come on up.
Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Hear the choir singing.
Hallelujah.
Hear the church bells ringing.
Come on up.
Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. 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 You, it's only you who designed the stars and loves my heart. You never leave my side. You, it's only you who can split the seas, still wait for me. Why am I walking blind, stumbling? You carry me home. You carry me home. I can see you in the moonlight. I can hear you through the night sky, whispering my name, calling me back home. I can see you in the distance, loving me the same as suspense. Help me to believe your love is all I need. You, it's always you who can mesmerize these blinded eyes with the flicker of your light. Me, it's never me. Oh, it's not about selfies or loving more of me, but denying myself for the least of these. You carry me home. You carry me home. I
So we're all here together tonight to talk about questions that every Catholic needs to ask before they go vote. And this is part 3 of the series. So buckle up because we are still in for the rocky ride. Hi, my name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew here in Katy, Texas.
Sitting in for Father Rick is Deacon Bill.
I'll take that.
All right.
And I'm Rich May. Thank you very much for inviting me. And great to see you, Deacon Bill. I don't think we've ever met.
We have, but you don't remember.
Well, you got a maroon shirt on, so maybe you're an Aggie. That probably.
No.
This is supposed to be a short intro, guys. Okay. This is the part where I say, welcome to Conversing Clergy, clergy who talk and listen.
Here I am at your door. Would you let me in? I have gave.
Oh man, I gotta tell you, I love doing stuff live because of stuff like that. You know, you guys just getting right into the chat, but that's exactly what we want because this is Conversing Clergy. We are conversing with each other. So what a great way to get started. So anyway, like I was saying already, we are talking about politics. We are talking about what kind of questions does a Catholic need to ask before they go vote? And I know some of you have already started, have already made your way to actually vote in early voting. And we hope that tonight is helpful anyway, just to help prepare for next time or just for your general enrichment. And for those who are still discerning, we hope that tonight is helpful too. I want to say an extra special word of welcome to our subscribers who join us regularly on YouTube and Facebook. Also, I want to welcome our Patreon patrons who continue to sustain us financially to advance in our mission as Conversing Clergy. And finally, an extra special welcome to our visitors who are with us. We're thrilled that you're with us for the first time. And just to let you know, what is Conversing Clergy all about? Well, we are clergy who converse. That's pretty much it. Well, there's more to it. Clergy who converse with each other and also with the laity so that Jesus Christ can join us in that conversation, that our hearts may burn within us, just like that story of the disciples who were on their way to Emmaus and Jesus joined them and broke open the scriptures for them. That's what we hope you will experience tonight, at least in a small way. We do this through our programs every Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. and also by our rosaries that we offer up on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesday Spanish, Thursday in English, and also through videos that we publish regularly. So if this is something that you want to stay in connection with, to continue to receive content just like this, feel free to hit the like and subscribe on YouTube and also the follow on Facebook as well. And if you are on YouTube, make sure to click that bell so that you receive the notifications. And whenever we go live or publish our videos, and click on the all and not the personalized, and that way you get all of our notifications whenever we go online. Now, as I said already, we are conversing with each other. That means that you as the laity, or if you're a clergy person as well, if you're a priest or a deacon, or a bishop, I don't know, man. If a bishop has too much pressure, feel free to chat on here and to let us know that you're here. Join us on the chat. You can ask questions. You can make comments with each other, also with us. You literally shape the conversations. You do. You actually shape our conversations because you're part of it. Imagine that we're there with you at the house, or that you're here, in our studio, engaging in conversation. That's what we hope that this will be like for tonight. Now, we do prioritize questions. So if you're asking a question, make sure to put a question mark. So I know that seems kind of common sense, but really if you can put a question mark, or maybe 2 or 3, that'll help me to catch it and then bring your question out. Now, we don't necessarily cover every question all throughout the chat. Sometimes there are too many, but we do like to take the more common questions and put them over towards the end with a Q&A. So while I am speaking about that, I want to let you know what the schedule is for tonight. So the first thing, as I said already, we're going to talk about the questions that every Catholic needs to ask before they vote. And Richard May is with us tonight. He is the evangelist, theologian, who can talk about those different kinds of topics, particularly in politics, and also does a lot of great presentations on the Virgin Mary as well, Mariology, and others as well. And so he will be giving us a presentation. He has a great slideshow lined up for us tonight, and all throughout we'll be stopping to engage in some comments and maybe engage in the questions that are being asked as well. And that's how we'll be moving throughout. We will also be showing up for just a little bit some pictures of the domestic church. I got a few really nice ones that I want to share with you all tonight. And then we'll have Q&A at the end if we have time. If we have enough questions coming in throughout the episode, then we might not have open Q&A, and we might go a little longer than usual tonight, so we'll play it by ear. But we are here tonight available to you to engage in those conversations through YouTube and Facebook. And then finally, we'll end with a Salve Regina, and that's how we'll end. And with a final blessing. I think somewhere in there we'll have a little bit of meme time. I'm not sure. It depends. So at least 2. There might be a bonus.
I came all this distance to be on this Conversing Clergy, and we don't have no meme time. We have to have some meme time.
Well, because Deacon Bill says it, we will have it. You know what? Just for that.
It's meme time. It's meme time. Gather all your friends. It's meme time. It's meme time. It's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time. It's meme time.
All right, we're going to jump right into it. So this is a meme from Suzanne Perez, and I think this is the best way to start today if we're going to talk about meme time. Preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use memes. That is a direct quote from St. Francis of Assisi.
I'm impressed.
Yes. They do say that St. Francis said, preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words. That's a fake quote.
I've heard that. That's not really what he said.
No, it's not. It's a fake quote. In fact, it was the opposite for him. He constantly preached the gospel with words, for crying out loud. I mean, he was a mendicant, right?
Yeah.
So the Franciscans were mendicants, right? Am I right on that, Richard?
Yep.
Yeah, they were mendicants. That was their whole point, and of course serving the poor. So anyway, there you go. So thumbs up if you liked it, and thumbs down if you didn't really care for it too much. And Serena says, St. Francis never said that. You are exactly right. But he did say, preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use memes. We have verified that directly from the superior of the Franciscan order. All right. So that's a great way to start. I love it. Start with the memes, huh? Yeah. I'm going to read some of the comments here. And just going to go ahead and just jump right into it. Craig Murray says, good evening. Cynthia Rojas is with us. Angela says, buenos noches. Glenn Jackson is here with us. Elizabeth Messina. LaDonna Hartman is here as well, says hello to us all. Serena, hello. Sister Fortune is with us and says, welcome back, Mr. May. And great job, Father Christopher. Nice to see you. St. Deacon Bill. Eddie Michelle says, hello, gentlemen. Happy to see you. I casted my vote yesterday. I asked the Holy Spirit to guide me to make a good decision. Fantastic. Arlen Isham is with us, too, from Florida. We have voted, but we are listening. Fantastic. And Carol says, blessings, Father, Deacon, and Richard May, and everyone. Robert Sasheri. It's Sasheri, right?
Shashery.
Sasheri. I've been saying it wrong. Sasheri. I'll get it right eventually. Says, good evening. And Sister Fortune and Carol, a lot of thumbs up and hearts for that meme. So glad to see y'all here. Looking at the Facebook page for St. Bartholomew, a lot of chats coming in. We love it. Patty Marie says, praise God. Lynn Lewis is with us tonight. Looking forward to the conversation. Marty Brown is with us too. So happy to be here learning from our amazing priest and Richard May. Linda Fontaine is with us. Marty Brown says, I am confused. Did Pope Francis really sanction same-sex unions? This is what I love about our regular visitors like Marty Brown. They just don't hold back, man. They go in with guns blazing. My goodness gracious. You know what? We're going to talk about that later. I am going to address it. I'm going to address it later on. Good. So Lupita says, blessed evening to all. Looking now at the St. Bartholomew YouTube channel, Christina Ferrufino is with us. And Rob Stagg says, good evening to all. And he also asks, Rich, what did you fly while in the Air Force? You want to answer that one?
Yeah, I flew KC-135 tankers out of Travis Air Force Base. That was during the Vietnam War. I shouldn't say that because now you know how old I am. But
well, I mean, one thing I can say thank you for your service. I mean, I imagine that was no easy assignment.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I really enjoyed those 5 years. And when I got out, everyone said, why didn't you go on the airlines? Well, that was when that fuel embargo hit, remember, in the mid-'70s?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember it, but I remember reading about it.
So anyway, I boarded the spacecraft at JPL, first job out of the Air Force. So
that is amazing. That's amazing. George Vibar also says, good evening, y'all. So glad you're with us, George. And Michael Di Nicola is with us on the Father Christopher fan page on Facebook. And if you've been paying attention the past couple of weeks, I have not had access to this fan page of mine, but I finally was able to get access to it through a backwards means. Anyway, who knows? I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet and start a new fan page. Seriously, I might have to do that. So anyway, so we're about to get started, but I need to actually take a sip of my disgusting decaffeinated coffee that I put lots of stevia in, and then it's delish. And I'm drinking out of my Darth Vader mug, and if you look on there, it's the many expressions of Darth Vader. So he's angry in this one, he's happy in the other, he's sad in this one, he's confused in another. And what do you imagine he looks like in all those different moods? Exactly the same, because he's got the mask.
Okay.
That's why it's funny. And I'm drinking out of this one because I have had a whole gamut of feelings today. So I have felt happy, sad, angry, and also confused. And that's all I'm going to say right now. Deacon, what do you got there?
This is my comfort blanket. I didn't have a cup of coffee, and so my pastor gave me this bottle of water to hold on to.
Way to break the fifth wall, man.
This is fantastic.
I had to give him something. I was like, "Where's your mug?" He said, "It's right here. This is my,
my mug.
Here's your mug, your mug shot."
Yeah.
And I said, "Man, you got to have something in your hand." So I just gave him a bottle of water.
There you go.
So there you go. Nothing to talk about there.
It's not even full.
Oh boy. Hey, Richard, what do you got there?
I got a very interesting mug. I'm sure you all know Father Paul Felix from Annunciation. Well, he was down at the Shrine of the True Cross in Dickinson, and I was at that parish for a number of years. And he always looked for ways to make some money for the parish, and so he put out these cups. I have it in my hand here. All right, it's just a simple white. Where's my camera? Up here somewhere.
Oh, there it is.
Anyway, and on one side of the cup it says "Stolen from the Shrine of the True Cross Catholic Church in Dickinson."
Oops.
On the other side, it says confession times, Wednesday, 6:30, 5 appointment. Good old
No,
Father
that's
P.
creative. Who was the pastor at the time that?
It was Father Paul Felix. He's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Annunciation. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. So yeah, it's great. That's great. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Jump right into the prayer, and then start with the show. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Saint Bartholomew,
pray for us.
in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I should also say, Immaculate Conception, pray for us, the patroness. All right, I was going to say Father Richard. Richard, we're going to go right into it.
Okay, well, very good. I think, we're actually picking up the discussion we, of course, started 2 weeks ago. And I know perhaps some of you listening perhaps missed the program. I guess you can get it on your website if you did. But I thought I would spend the first few minutes just reviewing some of the key points that maybe we covered. And, of course, we're talking about the USCCB document, the U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops document, Faithful Citizenship, Forming Consciences for Faithful Citizenship. And it actually was published back in 2007, before the 2008 election. And it did add a few paragraphs later on. So it's been around a while here already. And it's a very good document, and it does cover a lot of things that we need to be aware of when we vote. And so what we did last time, we went through some of it. And the first area we covered, and, people come up to me a lot of times and say, Rich, the church should stay out of politics. And yet, in fact, this is not what the church says. And we made that point in that first discussion that we do have a responsibility as Christians to make some impact on the moral character of our society as Catholic Christians, and so should the church. And right off, and this comes from the Second Vatican Council, actually, and it's repeated here in this USCCB document, paragraphs 9 and 11. The church has an obligation to participate in shaping the moral character of society as a requirement of our faith. It's the basic part of the mission we've received from Jesus Christ. And then the document also goes into our responsibilities, sort of the same way. We have a moral obligation here, rooted in our baptismal commitment, to participate, each according to our position, of course, to take an active part in public life. And I quoted some bishops. I had Bishop Chaput, and backing up exactly what the church says. So we do have to be involved. We are responsible for those around us. And, I think this is just in everything we do. Some of you already mentioned you voted already, but your job isn't done yet. There may be some people that may need the information we're giving you, right? I think it's important to take this with you as you learn here. But anyway, and then the actual goal of the document, and we went through paragraphs 4 through 8, is forming our conscience, the formation of our conscience, that we need to vote with a formed conscience. And, many times people go into the voting booth, they say, well, I followed my conscience. That's this type of thing. Well, what does that mean? What's important is that we go in with a formed conscience, a well-formed conscience. And this is covered in paragraphs 4 through 8 in the document here, okay? And then we spent a few minutes talking about, well, what does that mean? What does the church say about our conscience, okay? And where the problem comes in is that people have the idea that our conscience generates norms in and of itself, where in fact not the case. We have to form our conscience, and how do we do that? Is by being familiar with the church's teachings. What does the church say about the various issues that we're voting on? All right, we have an obligation to enter the voting booth with an informed conscience. The church's teachings aren't just one opinion among many. And then we got into, very important, the non-negotiables, which should be our focus here to start with. These are the things that are extremely important. They're at the top of our list because we're focused on human dignity and the sanctity of human life, right? And that we have a responsibility to put that sort of on the top of the list. We're dominant issue voters. We have some issues that we should always be concentrating on to begin with. Pope Benedict, he put this together back in 2006, but then it was also re-echoed in a document he put out in 2012, these 5 non-negotiables, and we should know these: abortion, euthanasia, embryonic cell research, same-sex unions, right? Got some noise there. What's that?
Yeah, that was my phone. Sorry.
It sounds like my truck.
Yeah. My bad. No, keep on going.
So these 5 non-negotiables, and let me just read a very critical two things. First of all, from John Paul II, related to what we're talking about here, these issues that we should be concentrating on. I think one of the biggest problems Catholics have is separating human rights from the right to life. Listen to what Pope St. John Paul II says. He says, the inviolability of the person, which is a reflection of absolute inviolability of God, finds its primary and fundamental expression in the inviolability of human life. And then he goes on to say, and this is important, the common outcry, which is justly made on behalf of human rights, for example, the right to health, home, work, to family, to culture, is false and illusionary if the right to life, the most basic and fundamental right, and the condition for which all other personal rights is not defended with maximum determination. All right, so we have to separate human rights from the right to life. There's a priority here in our voting. And then we got into also the fact that these 5 non-negotiables are intrinsically wrong. And why are they intrinsically wrong? What does that mean? We define that term too. Because the very object is wrong, regardless of the circumstances. When we look at things that are morally wrong, that could be circumstances that maybe reduce the sinful nature of an act, depending on what it is. But here we're talking about the very object, the very essence of this. For example, for abortion is wrong regardless of any circumstances. They're always wrong. So these intrinsic evils really pose a great moral threat to individuals and also to our society at large. All right. So, and I gave some examples of some papal statements and so forth. So very, very important. And then we went into one more paragraph I want to read in our little review here before we can sort of move on. I did talk about prudence, the importance of prudence. We also talked about proportionalism. That's the argument that, well, I had to have an abortion because I had to get more money or to feed my family. Jesus never did an evil act for a greater good. So we talked about proportionalism. All right, that was another item we talked about. But paragraph 22 is very important. Probably the most important paragraph we read during that first session.
And that's the forming consciences, paragraph 22. Is that what you're reading?
Threats to human dignity, the right to life.
Okay. All right.
We've further in the document. Okay. Okay. And in paragraph 22, there are some things we must never do. It's related to the non-negotiables. There are some things we must never do as individual or as a society because they are always incompatible with the love of God and neighbor. Such actions are so deeply flawed that they are always opposed to the authentic good of persons. These are called, here it is, intrinsically evil actions. They must always be rejected and opposed and must never be supported or condoned. A prime example is the intentional taking of innocent life, human life, as an abortion and euthanasia, the examples they give. It's a mistake with grave moral consequences. Now that suggests some moral culpability. We're going to get that to today. To treat the destruction of innocent human life really as a matter of individual choice. So as we move on here today, we'll get back to this in a sense because we're going to get into situations where, all right, suppose you have two candidates and they're both for abortion. Well, what do we do then?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to cover some of these. So this is sort of a quick whistle-stop tour of what we covered the first time. And correct me if I'm wrong, Father, they can review this on the website, right? That first.
That's correct. Yeah, we got all that. We have all of that there for them available. Yeah. And maybe if my moderators can post on there on our different feeds on Facebook and YouTube the website links, that'll get them to all of those different documents that they can review on their own. I think that would be good.
That's great. Okay, because I always worry about that. You know, especially when you break things up, you want to make sure we get this whole picture, perhaps. Okay, well, why don't we start on what we're going to cover here today? And I'm probably, I don't know, what am I around, slide 37 or 38, mixed issues, right?
Yeah, 35, Or you want to move to the next slide?
Am I moving or are you moving? Okay.
No, what do you want me to do? You want me to move to the next one? Or because this is the one we're on right now.
Go on and show the picture of the document. It's about 2 or 3 slides down. There's a schedule.
Okay.
Out there, okay, and this is what we're covering here. That's okay, you can skip over that.
Okay.
And then there's the document, all right, that's what it looks like. And by the way, you can get a PDF version of that document on the USCCB website. You can just search USCCB Faithful Citizenship and it'll come up, all right. Okay, then we start then on our topic here, mixed issues. Okay, see if we can get that next slide. Oh, no, wait a minute, you're in the beginning here.
Oh, am I? Let me start skipping then, really quickly. Hold on. This is why it's live. It's to make this an adventure.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do I need to just start skipping over? I don't know why it went to the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know if you can slip quickly. You got to go ways to go there.
Oh man, you know what? We're just gonna. How about this?
How
about we're gonna just? How about this? I'm just gonna just start talking, Rich.
I'll start talking.
While I fix this. I'll get there.
That's okay. All right, mixed issues. Yeah, okay. Now, here's the thing. We have multiple issues. How do we distinguish them? How do we select between them? How do we select between candidates? This is where it gets a little tricky sometimes, all right? Now, paragraph 27 and 28 gets into mixed issues. Yeah, you're almost there, Father. Very good. There you go. Oh,
which one?
Went past it. No, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. You're still. No, keep going. You're still. Wait a minute here. Where am I here?
Is it 40?
No, you passed it. I'm sorry. Back up. The first pink one. Yeah, that one. There you go. Nope.
That one?
Yeah, that one. There we go.
Okay, we're gonna start it now. Okay. This is the part where that's what it is. It won't show. I'll had. You know, while you keep talking, I gotta actually fast forward to it.
Okay.
For some reason, it won't do what we want. But yeah, what were you saying?
Okay. All right. Mixed issues. All right. Paragraph 27 and 28. It says, 2 temptations in public life can distort the church's defense of human life and dignity. The first is a moral equivalence. This is very important. Moral equivalence that makes no ethical distinctions between different kinds of issues involving human life and dignity.
Okay, I think I got it here. This is the mixed issues one?
That's it. Wow,
this is the one. All right, we're going to switch over now, folks. Thank you for your patience. Here we go.
Very good. Okay, good. Yeah, this is the paragraph I just read. Okay. And remember the paragraph I read on with John Paul II about human rights versus the right to life. All right. Remember, we have that distinction there. The direct and intentional destruction of innocent human life from the moment of conception until natural death is always wrong. And it's not just one issue among many. It must always be opposed. We can't be comparing, if you're really into climate change, all right, I can give a whole hour on that one. But if you're into climate change, okay, and that you're really concerned about that, or even healthcare and these other issues that are important, all right, immigration, okay, and you're between that and the killing of thousands of human beings, even to the time of birth, well, you got to make a tough decision. It's not that tough a decision. Okay, that's what the church is saying. We have a priority here. We're dominant issue voters here, all right, and it should really drive us to help us make that decision a little more easily, I think. And I have a diagram coming up later that gives you sort of a thought process on going through all of these issues. We'll get to that later. But so there's a priority here, obviously. The second is the misuse of these necessary moral distinctions as a way of dismissing or ignoring other serious threats to human life and dignity, and challenge our consciences and require us to act. These are not optional concerns which must be dismissed. There are other serious issues. Okay, but anyway, it goes on then, paragraph 40, the consistent ethic of life provides a moral framework for principled Catholic engagement in political life. And rightly understood, neither treats all issues as morally equivalent, all right, nor reduces Catholic teachings to one or two issues. So we're not single issue voters, but we're dominant issue voters, all right? So that's how we should look at this as we lay everything out in front of us here. The problem today is, I think, the serious issue we have today is this moral equivalence among the many issues. And they used a Greek term. Let's see, I guess you can move ahead. Yeah, you're following me good. Okay, you're good. There's one on seamless garment now. I think that's the next one. Let's see. There we go.
You got it.
Now, here's where the problem is. I love this term, seamless garment. That abortion is just one strand in a rich and finely woven seamless garment of Catholic social teachings in defense of life. So you can see where you got a pick and choose mentality here. Abortion then becomes just one among many issues. All right, now I'm just taking abortion. There are other serious ones, euthanasia and so on. 5 non-negotiables. Okay, so for politicians who want the votes, its priority is relegated to that of merely a personal opposition, but not reflected in their political platform or voting. What if a politician said that the same about slavery? He or she would be labeled a hypocrite. Well, I don't have any problem with. I'm really against slavery, but I don't have any problem with you, having slaves.
Right. And actually, that's what that was the position before the Civil War. I mean, that was part of the Civil War. Was our state has the right to vote for that. We're against it, but we'll let other states decide.
Exactly. Very good example. Yes, yeah. Exactly. Right. So we don't want to put all the moral issues on the same level. It'd be like building a house without a foundation, simply because the other parts are strong. Okay, so I think I made my point here, and the bishops have too in this. There's a priority. Yeah. We're dominant issue voters. We do look at the other issues as well, but the church proposes a vertical, not a horizontal list of moral and social issues. Okay, very good. And so so the protection of life obviously has to be up at the top of the list. All right. And again, as John Paul II says, I mean, we're good. Human rights are fine, but I know one bishop said, let's see if I can find that quote. It was a great quote here. In fact, it was Bishop Fiorenza. He said, we are unconditionally pro-life, since the respect for the right to life is necessary for a human being to be able to exercise any other human right. I think that's well stated. Well stated. Then we get to prudential judgment. Prudential judgment, okay? I think that's the next slide there. I think you follow me to the next. Yeah, there we go. Prudential judgment. Now, what's this here? Okay, there are issues. There are issues here. These various policies that opinions can differ. There may be more one way to solve the immigration crisis. There may be more than one way to work the healthcare problem, okay? So prudential judgment is also needed and applied. Now, notice the word prudence is in kind of wrapped up in that term, prudential judgment, prudence, okay? Prudential judgment is needed in applying moral principles to specific policy choices in areas such as a war, certain principles on whether you go to war or not, housing, healthcare, and so on. This does not mean that all choices are equally valid or that our guidance and that of other church leaders is just another political opinion or policy preference among many others. Rather, we are urged as Catholics to listen carefully to what the church is saying on these. For example, our bishop might have an opinion on something and voices his opinion. Well, we ought to take that seriously, obviously. All right. But I remember on some of these issues, you open up the Catholic press and you have a pope or a bishop or a priest or a theologian with two different opinions on the same issue. So this can happen. All right. This can happen. A good example, next slide, is a war. The judgments and recommendations, with regard to these prudential, you can flip the slide there. These prudential judgments do not have the same moral authority as statements of universal moral teachings, as we talked about before. You can flip, Father. Flip. Father, you there?
Well, Father's coming.
Well, when he comes, it's okay. Flip. Okay. Now this
Sorry, I had to step away. I'm back now.
Okay, fine.
Sorry.
I mean, this is. Oh dear. Okay.
So you need the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Please. This is on the war here.
Okay.
Here we go. Now, Pope Benedict the 16th, Emeritus, said that this is a very good statement here. Not all the moral issues have the same moral weight as abortion and euthanasia. And he goes on to say it may be still permissible to take up arms to repel an aggressor or to have recourse to capital punishment. There may be a legitimate diversity of opinion even among Catholics about waging war and applying the death penalty, but not, however, with regard to abortion and euthanasia. All right, there's a lot of confusion on this point. A Pope might make a comment on the war. This is a non-binding prudential judgment. For one thing, the Pope might not have access to national security documents and other factors that he may not even be aware of. All right. So just be aware that there are issues that are not absolute. Opinions can differ. All right. So I think that pretty much sums this up here. I think we can. I think we got a handle on that one there. Let me see. What was the paragraph on that? You're around paragraph. Let's see. Where are we? 33. Paragraph 33 on that. Well, now we get to culpability. Here's a good one.
Yep.
Culpability. Can our voting be sinful? I think sometimes we don't realize that our voting is a moral act because it can change our society, for the good or for the bad. Okay? So it involves an object toward which our will is directed. It involves an intent, the end which is sought, and the circumstances to the level of goodness or evil in the action we take, right? So paragraph 34 states, a Catholic cannot vote for a candidate who takes a position in favor of an intrinsic evil. You know what that is now, right? Such as abortion, racism is mentioned too.
Mm-hmm.
The voter's intent is to support that position. In such cases, this is serious, a Catholic would be guilty of formal cooperation in a grave evil. Now, if you go to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, along about paragraph 1385, it goes through these formal and informal or remote material cooperation. A great place to look at in the Catechism, 1385, all right? At the same time, it goes on to state a voter should not use a candidate's opposition to an intrinsic evil to justify indifference or inattentiveness to other important moral issues involving human life and dignity. There are others too, euthanasia, things like that. There are different ones here. Okay. Now this is some part of the document now that I think, if there was a weak part of the document, it's not wrong or nothing. I think there could have been a little more explanation here when we get to proportionate reason.
Yeah.
Proportionate reason. Now, in paragraph 35. There may be times when a Catholic who rejects a candidate's unacceptable position may decide to vote for that candidate for another morally grave reason. Another morally grave reason. Voting in this way should be permissible only for a truly grave moral reason. not to advance narrow interests or partisan preferences or to ignore a fundamental moral evil. So let's stop here. What are they saying here? What are they saying? So what we're saying is what do we mean by another grave moral reason? The proper term, proportionate reason. What does this mean? In other words, let's say you have a candidate that's for abortion, but there may be another candidate that's for, mass genocide. Okay, that's one example of maybe the extreme, but
I like to use I think I used this last time, and that's if the candidate is saying, he's saying he's pro-life, or the other one is going to be pro-abortion, and then the candidate says, I pledge to launch thermonuclear war, and I'm going to nuke Latin America.
Exactly.
I might consider voting for the other guy.
Right, exactly. Okay. Now, we do get into finer things like, we'll get to this later, you might have a candidate that's less likely. If you had two abortion candidates, one's less likely, or can you believe what the person's saying? You look at the character and everything. That's getting into something else. But the point is, this is important, though, proportionate reason. Do I see anything out there that's a proportionate reason for the murdering of 1.3 million children, babies a year? I don't see anything out there proportionately the same. We're using this term proportionate reason, all right? So, again, this would be a case where you might vote for someone. Now, as Bishop Chaput says, I'm going to vote for anyone. If both of them are pro-abortion, I might not vote for either of them, all right? But look at that, too. But anyway. Okay, so then next slide, I think I have one with two scales on there. Equal things. Yeah, there we go. Okay, what do we mean here? Unless two candidates have equal stances on abortion, euthanasia, and so on, you really can't vote for the pro-abortion candidate, all right? And critiques on the USCC document have picked this up, I think. There's never a proportionally grave reason to kill or to promote or contribute to the killing of innocent human beings. I mean, that makes sense, right? Remember that you vote not only for some person, some candidate, you're also voting for the political party. So you have to look at the political party, too. Who else is going to be a factor aligned or becomes part of the cabinet or whatever, that's assigned to that party, to the positions that this particular candidate's for, and so forth. You have to look at the political party as well as the candidate. Do they support or promote morally grave things? Okay, so anyway, so I think I like the way the document gives you these different cases here to at least be able to, that's the real world, right? It's not that clear cut sometimes. All right. But as Bishop Chaput says, I mentioned him before, you may elect to vote for neither. All right. So paragraph 36, I think that's on, we're still okay there.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. When all candidates hold a position in favor of an intrinsic evil, the conscientious voter faces a dilemma. The voter may decide to take the extraordinary step of not voting for either candidate, or, as careful deliberation, may decide to vote for the candidate deemed less likely to advance such a morally flawed position and more likely to pursue other human goods. All right, so you got to make some common sense decisions here. This is where prudence comes in, prayer comes in, and so on. We have to make some choices here that are logical. You got to be able to put your mind to this thing and look through the platform and see what we have here. Now, I had next slide here. I think I have a slide here of Martin Luther King, right? Is it that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I like this one.
Good photo of him.
Yeah, this is a great thing. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. Isn't that true? In fact, there's the old saying, the best way for evil to succeed is for good people to do nothing.
Right.
Which, that's our responsibility to do something about it. Okay, now, paragraph 37, I think that's the next slide here. We're getting toward the end here, so just hang on here. In making these decisions, the document says it is essential for Catholics to be guided by a well-formed conscience. We talked about that, right? That recognizes that all issues do not carry the same moral weight and that the moral obligation to oppose intrinsically evil acts has a special claim on our consciences and our actions. These decisions should take into account a candidate's commitments, character, integrity, and ability to influence a given issue. I sort of alluded to that already, right? Because in the end, this is a decision to be made by each Catholic, guided by a conscience formed by Catholic moral teaching. All right, so we want to check the voting record. That's a good thing. Candidates say anything when they're in the final stretch.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's why we have to be very careful if a candidate is trying to capture the quote unquote pro-life vote. Like let's say in the future, let's say Catholics all in the future actually decide that they are going to be faithful to the teachings of the church with regard to life issues. Some Catholics actually do vote for the pro-abortion candidate because they are pro-abortion, which is worrisome. But let's just say they all, as a block, we all say we're going to vote for the pro-life candidate. Then in the future, a candidate might want to take advantage of that and say, yeah, I'm pro-life, vote for me, and then they don't do anything about it. So yeah, like you were saying.
You know how I test people sometimes? You ever get a phone call and some candidate talking and it's live? Okay.
Yeah.
I say, I'm pro-abortion. Are you pro-abortion? Oh yeah, I'm pro-abortion. You know what I mean? You right away know. If I said I'm pro-life, they're going to say they're pro-life.
Yeah.
But if you say, are you pro-abortion, and he agrees with you there, he's gone, right?
Right.
He or she gone, right? See, so you got to be careful. You got to look at the voting record. I mean, that's very
look
important.
at the voting record. Look at what they've actually done. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so and then paragraph 22 talks about that we're not single issue voters. Where it says a candidate's position on a single issue that involves an intrinsic evil, such as support for legalized abortion or racism and other type issues there, may legitimately lead a voter to disqualify a candidate from receiving support. All right. So and be careful too today. There's a lot of labels going around. Not everything is racist. I'm hearing everyone's called racist lately, right? I mean, you hear this all the time. Just because you want border security, you're a racist. Things like that. I mean, let's define what racism is. The Catechism of the Catholic Church you can look in there. So we need to be sure we're getting the truth here. This is a time, I think, that never before, we really have to do our own homework. Don't believe everything you hear or what you're being told. Go research it yourself.
Well, the problem with what's happening with the term racism is that it's basically become a placeholder for anyone who disagrees with me, then that person's a racist. Now, I'm basically I don't mean to make a straw man argument. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the definition of racism has become so broad, wherein if there is any kind of sign of disparity among the different ethnicities in the country, that is branded as racism, when in fact it's disparity. So the definition of racism in the past has been when someone holds a point of view or acts on the point of view that one race is superior to another. That's racism, right? You would think that would be racism. But then when you hear the terms like systemic racism, which has existed in the past. I mean, the institution of slavery was definitely systemic racism, which was flowing from the idea that one race is superior to another, or that one race is inferior intrinsically. So but now systemic racism has taken on such a vague term that if there's any kind of disparity, that's called racism, and it's not always the case. So anyway,
and it's a way to sort of recruit loyalty to your cause. Sex is used too. Sex, racism, all these things is to try to promote some sort of loyalty to a cause. And so again, you have to look at things carefully today. What is true, what isn't true. Do some research. Now let me give you some strong statements here. Cardinal Burke used to be in St. Louis. Cardinal Burke, he's great, very outspoken. He says Catholics commit a mortal sin by knowingly voting for a candidate who advocates abortion. If you're voting for this person because you are for abortion, let's put it in that sense, okay? Then you can only receive the Eucharist after true repentance and confession, okay? Archbishop Chaput, this is what I mentioned before. Personally, I will vote for no candidate, Republican or Democrat, or third party who is actively pro-choice, okay? Now, this brings us to Catholic politicians. Let me spend just a minute or two on this. It's probably pretty obvious here, but next slide when you get a shot. Okay. Catholic politicians. We're around paragraph 39. John Paul II, in a particular way, called on Catholic politicians and legislators to recognize their grave responsibility in society to support laws shaped by these fundamental human values and urged them to oppose laws and policies that violate life and dignity at any stage from conception to natural death. He affirmed the responsibility of bishops to teach these values consistently to all the people. All right. Now, here's the thing. If you have a politician that legislates or is outwardly supporting intrinsically evil actions, again, using the example of abortion, they are contributing to the evil act and therefore commit a public sin. And this becomes this public sin. So now you're looking at Canon 9:15. And I know some bishops have excommunicated politicians. Bishop Rustowitz, I give him as an example. All right. So deny him Holy Communion. So this is very serious. And I don't have to go into politicians' names. I don't know kind of an array of people that some of them Catholic call themselves Catholic, and they're pro-abortion, and so this is very serious. And of course, it's very. I don't know, Father, what do you think about Canon 9:15? Should it be more or less implemented?
Well, I mean, I think. Well, I've heard some arguments. I don't want to pick on Cardinal Dolan. But I will. I mean, I really support the guy in some respects, and it really is above my pay grade. And nobody asked my opinion until today, because Rich just asked my opinion, so I'm going to give it. But basically, he made the opinion that he's of the opinion that I am not going to excommunicate Catholic politicians following Canon 9:15, because that's something that they would want, and that will make them seem like heroes, and then they will tout it, right? Now, I disagree with that. I think now that might be true of that specific person, but if that's the case, they're already lost. So, but there's two reasons why you would excommunicate. Number one, it's for first and foremost for the salvation of the soul that is being excommunicated, right? It's out of compassion and desire for repentance. But the second reason is in order to heal scandal that's caused to the other faithful, that might see that this is something that's okay.
That's
that
huge.
It's not. It doesn't have the gravity of serious sin. So when you excommunicate, people will see that and say, oh, okay, so this is something serious, something I should take seriously. Or of course they might say, well, now the church is being judgmental. But if they're going to think that, they're going to think that anyway, if the church takes a stand on many different things. So that's not something to be concerned about. So in my opinion, that's how I would see it. But
it's interesting you say that. I just clipped something out of the Catholic press a week ago, talking about, I won't mention the name here, a politician, Catholic politician, it's pro-abortion, receiving communion, and so forth. And it made a specific point, and you brought it up, is you're leading people astray. There are a lot of weak Catholics that are not well catechized that take this to think, oh, gee, I guess the church has changed its opinion on it. And then you see them receiving communion. That's a slap in the face of those in the pro-life movement, too. I see that as and some of them are, you can't receive communion. They go receive communion anyway.
Right.
So this is, I take that as, well, anyway, I agree with you. I agree with you, Father, on this. I don't know what else to say about this, except I guess you responded correctly, I think, in my opinion, too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's above my pay grade. I'm not a bishop. I'm not in those situations, but I would just say pray for the bishops and for their prudence.
Right. I'm going to set us up for next week's topic here. Now, I just want to review. The document goes on into some other issues. If you go to the next slide here, I think it's there. There's the 9:15, Canon 9:15. We'll move on to the next one here. Okay. If you go through parts 2 and 3 of the document, a lot of this has been added since I believe it was during the last election they added it. Pretty sure for the 2016 election. Anyway, healthcare, migration, Catholic education, against violence, unjust discrimination, care for our common home, in other words, the environment. They have some material now on communications, media, and culture. Okay, all of these. I've plucked 9 items out of this section. We don't have time to cover them all, but I want to go through them very quickly. Father, I think I got about 3 or 4 on each slide.
Yeah, and we might have to move quickly because we are getting sort of towards the end of this part.
I will. And the dignity of the human person, again emphasized, all right? The family, it's impossible to promote the dignity of the person without showing concern for the family. Subsidiarity, all right? Larger institutions in a society should not overwhelm or interfere with the smaller one, okay? Number 4, the common good. The common good indicates the sum total of social conditions which allow people to, or groups of people and individuals to reach full fulfillment more fully and more easily. Religious freedom, that goes without saying, right? We want religious freedom. We want to be able to go out and proclaim the faith in the public square. The dignity of work. The economy must serve people. Systems must serve the dignity of the human person. Then 7 through 9, we have unjust laws. Constitutional protection for the unborn, good example. Religious freedom. You know, I repeated that, didn't I? Religious freedom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 8, not 9. You got to have a good biblical number, 9. All right, you don't have 8.
Yeah, sure.
And then prudential option for the poor and economic justice. Okay, flip the slide. All 9 are threatened by socialism, with what I just read. All 9 of those. And so that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Socialism as a threat not only to our nation, but to the church. We're gonna examine that. Anyway, I do. There's one other diagram in there. I think I have that here. Hopefully, flip another 1 or 2 down there. Keep going. There. That. If you post that, it's sort of a process we would go through as we make our selections. On the left, you have conversion, the teachings of the church, well-formed conscience down at the bottom. And then you go up, and the first thing you examine are what? The non-negotiables. Now, you can make a decision right there, or you consider all of the other ones that we have up there, okay? And then character evaluation, we talked about that. Then we go ahead, any other considerations, we pray on it, and then as you move to the right, then you go vote. It's sort of a mechanical process, maybe, a checklist.
Yeah,
I think.
It's very much an engineering sort of way of doing it, you know, a nice schematic there.
I sketched it out in one of my meetings when I was at NASA there.
Oh, see, there you go.
I know my engineering diagrams. Anyway,
That wasn't when that Martian lander got lost.
No,
back
it
in
wasn't,
'97 or whatever, it was '98.
It wasn't a shuttle accident either.
Okay, good.
Anyway, I have some closing thoughts, but I'll let you decide. You know how much time we got.
We're actually kind of out of time in terms of I think at this point we want to open up the conversation to everyone here to
fine.
make comments or ask questions. But yeah, I think I would like to make some comments about what you've been saying all throughout this evening. But first, I do want to make clear that what he's drawing from tonight is from the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, forming intention. I'm forgetting the whole title now. It's formation of
forming consciences
for faithful citizenship. So that and that's been posted on the Facebook page as well as on. I'm pretty sure on the YouTube channel as well. Melanie has it there, and she also has put on. Our moderator has put on the graphic that Rich had just shared as well, in terms of kind of a logic flow when it comes to discerning who to vote for. And I have found it to be quite good. So it's an example of what a Catholic can use to discern through the process. So I think that, the first thing, the good thing is that before we had you on for today, Rich, we had Father Nicholas on last week, and we spoke about the double effect, and we spoke about proportionalism, and also about, I think the one was proportionalism, the other one was consequentialism. And so what we're talking about was that very question about what is proportional to the killing of innocent life. And you were making the comment that there really isn't anything proportional besides the killing of innocent life. I think that's what I was getting from you. The only thing that's proportional to the taking of killing directly innocent human life is killing innocent human life on the other side, if there has to be some kind of form of that. And I also want to say that, and I'm going to be bringing this up in the homily as well, that abortion is not just different qualitatively from the other life issues, and not just the life issues, but also the issues of justice, like the just treatment of immigrants, and also racism, and some of the other issues that are out there. We have to take care of our environment. That is a justice issue because it impacts especially the poor when the environment isn't well cared for. But abortion is different from those other ones, not just because of qualitatively abortion is worse or it's heavier, but also quantitatively. There are something like 862,000 unborn children that are killed in the United States per year. But that's just the United States. In the world, guess how many children are killed by abortion every year worldwide? 42 million.
Yeah.
42 million, right? Now, and it's interesting. I was reading an EWTN article, and I can't remember if we had it posted also, if we showed it in the last Conversing Clergy, but the question that can be asked is, if we were to replace the word unborn child with another class of people, would we still be having the kinds of conversations that we're having right now, with abortion being relativized or placed on the same par as other justice issues that are serious but nonetheless not as heavy? Like, let's take the word unborn child and replace it with Jews. Replace it with that. 52. I mean, and I'm using that word because of the reality that we had, the Jewish Holocaust, which was an absolute atrocity. 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust. That's the closest estimate that I was able to find. 52 million unborn children have been killed in the United States since Roe versus Wade, 1973. 52 million. Replace that word with Jews. Where would we be? What would our conversations be looking like right now if we were to replace it with that? Right? Or let's take slavery. Believe it or not, slavery is horrible. I mean, believe it or not. I mean, everybody believes that, right? That slavery is horrible. But what I was going to say is that, believe it or not, abortion is worse, right? Abortion is the direct killing of a human life. Slavery is also a life issue, and it puts someone in chains, literally, right? What if we said that 52 million innocent human beings were forced into slavery in the United States? What kind of conversation would we be having right now? It would be very different. So I think that we've just been so desensitized. But abortion is an issue not just qualitatively, but also quantitatively, just in terms of sheer numbers. So I just wanted to put that out there too.
Would there also be a difference, essentially? It's not only qualitative, but it is an essential different kind of act, the killing of an unborn child,
right?
As opposed to, well, the Holy Father John Paul made that distinction between those life issues and those human issues. That's a difference,
right?
That's essential, the essential difference, rather than just a qualitative difference.
Yeah,
because they're not of the same kind at all.
Yeah. Wow, you're really getting into philosophy here, because I was saying qualitatively, I was thinking kind of like in a broader sense of the word, yeah. And you're getting into essence. So yeah. The difference between essentia and qualitas or something, yeah. I just made that word up. So yeah, I'm going to read some of the questions here. So Serena, it just came up here on Conversing Clergy. She asked, do you feel Pope Francis is confusing the average Catholic and man on the street by the statements that come out from him, especially this latest statement on gay marriage? We're going to get into that in just a second. Okay, I want to first address our topic for tonight, but we are going to get into that. But someone did ask a question. I saw it on Facebook. Lupita asks the question, and I think it's a great one. What is a reliable source for voting records or history of candidates? Because I get lost in comparison/compilation of data, local, state, and federal, in getting to know candidates that haven't been in the media much. Do either of you have some insight on that one?
We might try Priests for Life. They seem to have a lot of information, although, of course, it's probably on the life issues more, but I have found they have material on their website. I haven't looked at it, but that's a good question. It'd be good to have some single source to go to, and there it all is, the voting record. But I don't really have something you could specifically point to. That's a good question.
There is an organization that
some work on that between now and next week.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I've seen. I have the closest thing that I have seen is the Houston Chronicle, where they lay out their different issues. But of course, Houston Chronicle is a bit biased more on the liberal side. So,
Yeah, I think so.
it's kind of hard to you have to bake that into the cake. I mean, I think at some point, all the media sources at some point, if they want to have some integrity, should come out and say, look, we see things through the eyes of liberalism, or another is conservatism, and just come out and say it. And that way there's some honesty there. And then I can actually read that newspaper and say, okay, I'm going to bake that into the cake as I'm reading it. Anyway, but I'm sorry, Deacon Bill, you were going to say something about the sources for voting?
Well, it's not really informative because I don't remember the name of the organization, but they publish basically pro-life voting records.
Right.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. I saw one last election. It was it had check marks.
Right.
It had all the people in Congress, and they had all the little check marks there on what they were for, what they were against. I just can't remember where that came from, though.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
And another question came up from Michael De Nicola, and it was regarding the 5 negotiables or non-negotiables. Suzanne Perez answered that question, one of our moderators, thank you. And she said the 5 non-negotiables are abortion, human cloning, euthanasia, and also assisted suicide, basically the same category, stem cell research, and then so-called homosexual marriage. We call it so-called because you can two people of the same sex can go to a courthouse and receive a document that says they're married, but in essence they are not married. They can call it that all they want. But it's not marriage, unfortunately.
Right.
I mean, it's not marriage in the sense we would say it's unfortunate because they're being deceived into thinking that's what it is. And so,
can I make a point on this here just for a second?
Yeah.
If you look at the past few elections, the Catholic vote, it's a roughly few percentage points either way. 50% pro-life candidate, 50% pro-choice candidate. Even with on a lot of our bulletin boards, it shows the positions of these candidates here. You've got to wonder, what is going to be the percentage after this election, given what we know? What are we going to be? What are the major issues? Are we going to be comparing, again, climate change to this, or whatever the ones we have here?
Right.
The church provides the candidate stances. And when we come to the 5 non-negotiables, if you look at the candidates for this election, one candidate and party is for these 5 intrinsically evil acts. One party and candidate is against these. And 50%, given what we have and what we know here before us here, is unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. It shows a terrible failure, I think, over the years here, if we can't get a higher percentage of Catholics voting the right way there. It's just
I think part of the problem, really just being quite open here. When am I not open? But part of the problem is that people have been told that their conscience takes primacy, but they have been misinformed about what that actually means. So what does that mean? What a lot of Catholics think that the primacy of conscience, that I vote according to my conscience. Let's just put aside that some may think that conscience is what you feel, and that's not what conscience is. Conscience is an intellectual formation that then leads to a prudential judgment by which I make a decision. Feelings have nothing to do with it. So let's just put that aside, though. Some may think that, yes, it is an intellectual act that I engage in, and according to prudential judgment, but that intellectual act I am the author of, right? And so if the Catholic Church is saying that X is evil, well, I have to discern, according to my conscience, whether or not I'm going to accept if X is evil. And so I don't really accept that X is evil because my conscience is telling me that, and that's how I am going to go vote, right? My conscience tells me that abortion can be legal. The church is telling me it should not be legal, but they're telling me that I can go by my conscience. But the problem is that I am not the author of my conscience if I'm going to submit myself to the mind of the church. God should be the author of my conscience, and I allow myself to be formed by the author, rather than me being the author, and then I am making a selection over what I am going to pick and choose, otherwise known as cafeteria Catholicism, right? That's what that is. I'm the author of myself, which is very much part of the modern sensibility. Modernism has infiltrated the church, and it has been spoken by members of the leaders of the clergy, members of the certain bishops. I'm not going to start calling out bishops on this program. So anyway, I'm not open there. But so here's the thing. So that means that if you understand correctly what formation of conscience actually is, where the church, Jesus Christ through his church, the church is the authentic voice of Jesus Christ on earth, is what forms my conscience. If X is wrong and I'm saying, no, I don't agree with that, I'm wrong, right? If I'm going to contradict what the church teaches and I'm going to go vote in that certain direction, my conscience is wrong. Period. End of sentence. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, of course, there are the areas of prudential judgment, right? But the areas that are outside of a prudential judgment that are actually within the non-negotiables. So if the Catholic Church says you must not vote for a pro-abortion politician because he is pro-abortion, if you're supporting the pro-abortion stance, then you are in formal cooperation of grave sin and must not present yourself for Catholic communion. So what that means is that if I'm going to go vote for a pro-abortion politician because I support abortion, my conscience is wrong. Period. There is no, in that sense, that there is no primacy of conscience. So anyway, I think that just people have just been misinformed, and I think a lot of that misinformation, that heresy that has been taught to people is what has led to the mess that we're in now, with regard to a significant portion of Catholics who are voting pro-abortion because they support the pro-abortion. And if you don't think that's true, there was a recent statistic that I heard. It was on the Word on Fire YouTube channel, where it said 77% of Catholic adult Catholic Democrats said they voted for the pro-abortion politician because he was pro-abortion. Right?
Yeah, that's almost unbelievable.
That is outrageous.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. I'm sorry, but it is, and it's sad. And I don't know what to do with that except to say, knock it off. I don't know. But I guess what I want to say is that maybe if you're in that category and you're watching right now, just know that the way to salvation is in his holy Catholic Church, the Catholic Church of Jesus Christ, and we have to submit our minds to him and trust in his goodness and love, his mercy, and that his wisdom surpasses all. And it's so hard to change positions. It's hard to change political parties, especially. And you don't even have to belong to a political party. There's no moral imperative to be a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, or a Green Party. The moral imperative here is is to vote first and foremost, or maybe Rich can talk about the option to not vote at all. Maybe we can talk about that next time. But the imperative is to vote according to our consciences formed by the church and never contradicting it.
Yeah,
so
our consciences don't measure or evaluate the church teachings.
Right, exactly.
The church evaluates our consciences. The conscience isn't an autonomous rule here, all right? And you well stated, Father. Yeah, I think this points to the fact that we're going to have to do something in our catechetical instruction. And if this many people are uninformed or misled, as you've been saying here, then we need to make some strong adjustments here somewhere along the line. And unfortunately, right now for this election, I think we're a little too late.
Right.
But everyone listening can make a big difference here.
We have a question from Chino Nora. We voted pro-life only the last time, and what did we get? Did anything change? There are other things to consider now. I'm assuming he's talking about. I guess the question is about Trump. I'm guessing because he was the pro-life candidate.
Yeah.
We can just say, and I'm not endorsing Trump here. But the objective reality is that President Trump has been judged by many pro-life organizations, Catholic and non-Catholic, as the most pro-life president that we've ever had. So we did get that, and a lot of things have actually changed. As a matter of fact, I don't know, Rich, if you want to chime in there.
You also got to look at it this way. Suppose he wasn't the president, what would have been enacted? You know what I'm trying to say? He was sort of a stopgap in a way, and then religious freedom, religious liberty. You put all that together. Again, we're not supposed to be mentioning names here, but I got a bumper sticker on the back. Can I mention a name here?
Well, Rich, you're a lay person. You can say it.
it's got
you're a lay person. I'm a clergy person, so I got to be careful, about not endorsing candidates because I don't want to officially say this is what the church is telling you to vote for because we don't want to do that for many reasons.
Well, I just have that catechism paragraph number on confession up there on that, but
yeah. But what I do want to say is, so that's just the objective reality. That's not an endorsement, and not only that, but a president has a very powerful ability with selecting Supreme Court justices, and they have the ability to overturn Roe versus Wade. Now, having said that, George Bush made some major mistakes in some of the justices that he picked. I mean, Roberts has been a big disappointment when it comes to how to be a Supreme Court justice. A Supreme Court justice is not supposed to legislate. By law, they should be interpreting the Constitution. Roe versus Wade was one of the worst rulings by the Supreme Court in history. It's right up there with the Dred Scott decision. And so we want justices that are going to overturn it. Roe versus Wade was a means by justices that were activists that were using it to legislate, to cram it down the throats of all the other Americans, the abortion agenda. And I actually heard that Ruth Ginsburg said that Roe versus Wade was bad, was a poor ruling, bad judicial judgment. But anyway, I do want to get to some other comments here. Let's see. Lily Jackson says, I voted life. Any other issue is irrelevant to me. If I can just offer a little bit of balance there, Lily, we want to vote for life, but the other issues are also relevant. So we want to make sure that we keep all of that within our judgment there. Let's see. Patty says, is there a president who has ever stopped abortion? Yes. So the president, like there are certain presidents, for example, there's the Mexico City law that does actually lead to stopping of abortions by the removal of funding. So I think that was President Bush. President Trump did the same thing. It's kind of a thing where one president kind of, because I think it's an executive order, or maybe someone else can chime in there. Do you know about the Mexico City law any more than?
No, I don't.
Yeah, well, the Mexico City law has to do with the federal government sending money overseas to fund abortions. So the Mexico City law has to do with that. And so one of the first things that a president can do when they get elected is they can overturn it or they can re-implement it. So it's kind of one of those things, and they usually do it within the first one or two days of their administration. So yes, and my understanding is that some of the things that Trump has done has actually led to the reduction of abortions. So yes, a president can actually stop abortions. Now, a president doesn't have the power to stop it completely, and I don't think we want that. Right. I think it should go through the legislature.
Sure.
Right. We don't want a king in this country, right? So, but a president has a lot of power. So, let's see. Just going to continue reading here. Judy Troxler says this is very helpful and thorough. Awesome conversing clergy. Thank you. Chino says, when was there ever no religious freedom in the United States? When was there ever no religious freedom? There wasn't any. I would say, before the founding of the country, maybe in the colonies in the Northeast, were very anti-Catholic, but.
Well, I think there was anti-Catholic prejudice and everything, but when you say no religious freedom, people still, went ahead and worshipped as they wished. Of course, eventually into the Constitution and everything.
I would say that the time when we started really getting assaulted in terms of our religious freedom, I think that happened within the Obama administration. I want to say with the HHS mandate that came out, that was basically going to punish any organization that is self-insured for not providing artificial contraception and abortion. With for example, the Archdiocese of Galveston, pretty much every diocese is self-insured. Or there were the Little Sisters of the Poor. That was the big one that went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they sided with the sisters. Thanks be to God. So that was a threat to religious freedom.
It comes around right now because of a radical interpretation of the First Amendment, separation of church and state.
Yeah.
But that can be covered on another day, I guess.
Yeah. Another good question here. I think that let's see. Chino asks, what did he do to reduce abortion? Well, like I said, there was the overturning or the implementation of the Mexico City law. I can't remember which one it is. So there was that, and then a whole bunch of executive orders that he signed, and also things that he had passed that the legislators had put in front of him instead of vetoing it. So that's the other thing too I have to think about, that he has the power to veto. So if you get a pro-life legislature, they pass pro-life laws, or they try to pass pro-life laws, but then the president can veto it. But it's been a while. It's been about 2 or 3 months since I actually read an article that was verifying at one of the pro-life websites that are, pretty official, and going through a whole list of things that President Trump had done. I don't want you to think that I'm endorsing Trump. You're asking factual questions. I'm giving you facts on that. Okay.
Well, he also promoted the defunding of Planned Parenthood.
Yes, that's the other thing too. Yeah. So Lily Jackson asks, let's just say I'm an immigrant, naturalized U.S. citizen, but I'm pro-Trump. Well, there you go. Let's see. Okay, moving on to another question. I mean, I want to say something, Chino, and to everybody else that might be asking that question, but maybe they're not wanting to say anything. I think that is just such a great question to ask, Is it going to make a difference to vote for somebody that says they're pro-life and they don't do anything about it? I'm going to say it right now. George W. Bush, he didn't do as much as he said he was going to do for pro-life. I mean, for the efforts of pro-life. He had a super majority.
Yeah, he could have done a lot.
He could have done a lot more for life. They were talking about putting forward a human life amendment, to recognize the unborn child as a human person, even if it would have failed. Putting forth that effort would have really raised the issue. So I'm not necessarily, bashing George W. Bush. I'm just saying that that's a fair question to ask. That's part of the prudential judgment. But like I said, to vote for a pro-abortion candidate, if you know that the guy's going to follow through with continuing to defend legalization of abortion, you better have a proportional reason to go against that. Let's see. Sister Fortune says Trump has done a lot. If we Christians I can't read that correctly. He has been the only president standing up for Christians, and he placed the embassy in Jerusalem, and he has brought prayer back to the public places. So he has been very good on defending Christians overseas who have been persecuted. So, but there's not enough. I mean, the media doesn't really cover that like they should, for sure. Let's see. Serena said, I would say if there's a choice between the two, I would be obligated to vote pro-life. So there you go. I'm going to move over to my Facebook fan page. So not really a whole lot of comments going through there. So, all right, so let's go ahead and talk about something else. Let's shift over to the other question that has come up. But first, man, I don't know about you, but I need a meme time.
I'm ready for it.
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
All right, this one was sent to me by Elizabeth Messina, and it says, Darth Vader's rarely photographed wife. Ella Vader.
Oh.
Come on, folks. Send over some thumbs up.
I like that one.
Send over some thumbs up.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Ella Vader.
Oh, I think Rich got disconnected, or either that or he left because he didn't like that meme. Okay, he's about to come back in. You back?
Yeah, I'm back. I
Okay.
got an interruption there.
I thought you left because
I'm
you didn't
back.
like the meme.
No. I don't know what happened. I had another skip earlier in the program too for some reason. It's okay now.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So moving on to the question. So let's see. So the question was about the Holy Father and a statement that he made, or something that he had said in his most recent documentary that came out. I think it's called Francesco. That's going to be released very soon. But I want to make sure to keep everything factual. So I have on my mobile phone here an article from the Catholic News Agency, excuse me, that came out earlier today. And in it, it says that in a documentary that premiered Wednesday in Rome, Pope Francis called for the passage of civil union laws for same-sex couples, departing from the position of the Vatican's doctrinal office and the Pope's predecessors on the issue. The Vatican's doctrinal office is the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith, otherwise known as the CDF, by the way. So the remarks came amid a portion of the documentary that reflected on pastoral care for those who identify as LGBT, which is what we want to do. We want to reach out and care for folks who are struggling with same-sex attraction. So he said, homosexuals have a right to be part of the family. They're children of God and have a right to a family. Nobody should be thrown out or be made miserable because of it, Pope Francis said in the film of his approach to pastoral care. It also said that he weighed in on civil unions for same-sex couples. So he said, what we have to create is a civil union law. That way they are legally covered, the Pope said. And he said, I stood up for that. Now, I'm going to move down to, because the Catholic News article, Catholic News Agency article, talks about what the CDF had said under the leadership of Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger and at the direction of Pope John Paul II. The Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith taught that respect for homosexual persons cannot lead in any way to approval of homosexual behavior or to legal recognition of homosexual unions. The common good requires that laws recognize, promote, and protect marriage as the basis of the family, the primary unit of society. Legal recognition of homosexual unions or placing them on the same level as marriage would mean not only the approval of deviant behavior, with a consequence of making it a model in present-day society, but would also obscure basic values, which belong to the common inheritance of humanity. The Church cannot fail to defend these values for the good of men and women, for the good of society itself, the CDF added, calling support for such unions from politicians gravely immoral. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to make a comment yet about what the Holy Father has said. I want to wait until the Vatican actually says something to maybe clarify what the Pope has actually was meaning in his statements in that documentary. I don't know, Rich, if you want to chime in. I'm kind of in a different position as a priest. One thing I will always say is pray for Petrus. Pray for the Rock. Pray for our Holy Father. He is our Father. And the second thing that I would say is that no pope has the right or the authority to change church teaching. So that's the other part of it too. So the teaching that we have coming out of the CDF, and it also has been affirmed over centuries, is that we do not recognize in any way as legitimate unions between any kind of legalization of a union between people of the same sex. And that was even something that came out in the controversy with the Supreme Court in the United States. Remember that? I don't know if you remember that, but that was back in 2014. It was before I got here, so 2014. In fact, I was asked by the Archdiocese to talk to the media to address that very thing, and how the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops came out and said that the ruling by the Supreme Court recognizing the civil union between people of the same sex, and that every state is not now has there were already civil unions in different states, right? But it said every state now has to allow for or provide civil unions, and actually calling it marriage between people of the same sex. Actually calling it marriage, that was the issue, whether or not they should call it marriage. So at any rate, I'm not going to make a comment yet, but I'm just going to say those two things: pray for Petrus, and also no pope has the authority to change church teaching. The official church teaching. So anyway, I don't know if you guys want to chime in on that. I'm going to say one more thing, but I want to let you guys chime in, unless you don't want to say anything, unless you want to be like St. Thomas More and say nothing.
No, I was surprised when you told me about this, because I had not seen anything on that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to read what actually was said.
Right. And I like what Serena's been saying too. She's been chiming in here. She says the average person misconstrues the word union and marriage, and therein lays a confusion. But this opens up laws that allow for terrible situations for children that are adopted into these unions. Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's the problem. Okay, so because the Holy Father is he's saying we should, everything that he's saying about what we need to do for people who have that same-sex attraction, that they should be welcomed, right? They should be part of the family. They deserve basic human rights. They shouldn't be discriminated against, and there are places where they're actually killed for having a same-sex attraction, or if they're found having a same-sex relationship, there's execution, and that's severely unjust. That's a life issue, right? But at the same time, if we're going to say that if two people of the same sex come together, they decide to live together, and the countries have provided to them civil union rights, so certain rights that are set aside for them living together. Now, if we're talking about protection for them, what kind of protection are they needing beyond what they already have, right? What kind of protection, for example, calling what they are together marriage? What have they gained beyond imposing on everybody else the requirement of calling what they are in marriage, right? Which is actually a religious and philosophical imposition on the rest of the world. So it's not just enough to have the rights, it also that you now have the obligation to call it marriage, so to speak, or at least legally, I guess. I don't know. But one thing I can tell you for sure is this. I have heard this was a priest, I think it was Father James Martin. I was listening to his interview. Now, I can say things about Father James Martin because he's not the Pope, right? And he's not a bishop. So my brother, Father James, brother priest, I was listening to his interview with CNN, and some of the questions that CNN was asking were just ridiculous, because they was just filled with bias. And you know what kind of bias they have against Catholicism and against the teachings of the church. Rich is shaking his head. The teachings of the church with regard to homosexuality, right? So it's all kinds of questions. So for example, the news person said that the Holy Father has really changed and moved the church forward when he said, who am I to judge with regard to homosexuality? Okay, first of all, the Catholic Church never taught that we are supposed to judge anybody, right? That's not a change. Yeah. The church didn't move forward when he said that. Not only that, but it was taken out of context, because he was talking about if a priest has that same-sex attraction and he lives in sexual chastity, in sexual purity, who am I to judge? We all say that. We've been saying that since the beginning, since the apostles. Sorry, I moved away. I don't want to yell into the mic. So there's that. The second thing that kind of irks me a little bit is that Father James Martin said, yes, the Pope is doing. Let's just assume that the Pope is legitimizing same-sex unions, right? That he's making it look like as if it was marriage, right? And I'm thinking that's the direction that Father James Martin wants to go in, just from all the things that I've heard him say. Let's just say that's the case, all right? And he said that this is a way of welcoming them in. I'm sorry, but no, that's not. Teaching heresy is not welcoming, right? Leading people into sin is not welcoming. That's leading people astray. You know what I call that? I call it the Walmart welcome. So people talk about changing church teaching, and it's not just about homosexuality. It's in different areas. Change church teaching so people can feel more welcomed. Allow for marriage after divorce. Forget about the annulment process. I'm not talking about that. Allow people to divorce and remarry so that divorced people can feel more welcomed in the church. Allow all of these different things so that people can feel more welcomed. That's called the Walmart welcome. The Walmart welcome is where Walmart, and I feel welcomed at Walmart, right? The Walmart method of welcoming is, tell us how we can help you feel comfortable and stay here and come back and shop with us again. How can we make you feel more comfortable? Well, lower prices, maybe, arrange things the way I want them. That's the Walmart welcome. The Catholic Church errs gravely when they are dominated by the Walmart welcome. Tell us how we can rearrange and change things in the church so that you can want to come back here and stay here with us, right? That's the Walmart welcome. Instead, we should be giving the Jesus welcome. What's the Jesus welcome? It's the kerygma preached by St. Peter. Repent and believe in the gospel and be saved from this wicked generation. I'm quoting from the Acts of the Apostles. That's the Jesus welcome. Come into the church. Believe in Jesus, who loves you very deeply, and repent from your sins. Change so that you can be truly united to him, and all of us can be united as one church. Struggle with us as sinners, of course. We're not perfect. Struggle with us as sinners. Come, sinner, and join us sinners who are trying our best to follow Jesus Christ and be united to his grace. That's the Jesus welcome. All right, I'm done.
What do we comment? And after that, I was just sitting here thinking, you're using my words.
Well, there you go. All right, actually, we're a bit over time. I don't know, man. I love conversing clergy. I love conversing with all of you, and I think we all deserve a little bit of a bonus meme time. All right, so this one I kind of like. It says, so technically Moses is the first man to download files from the cloud using a tablet. This one is from Erica V. So thumbs up if you like that meme. Thumbs down if you didn't.
I love that.
Yeah, that was
That's
good.
great. Yeah.
That was good. I liked it. I liked it too. And I think it's time to go ahead. And I said I was going to show the pictures of the domestic church. So let's do that now. So this one is really cool. This is from the religious sisters that we have here at our parish. They're part of the Order of the Daughters of Mary, Mother of Mercy. And it was Sister Lucy's birthday. So there's an image there. This is from Daphne Reyes. And she made a beautiful image of Sister Lucy there. She's very talented. And so some cake, balloons with Sister Fortune and Sister Rafaela. So I think Sister Fortune's watching us right now. So very cool. And I'll show the next one there. And they're all leaders, Sister Lucy especially, and Sister Fortune, Sister Rafaela. They all lead the group that goes and visits homes. They go and visit the homebound. They haven't been able to do that in a while. Of course, everything's kind of shut down. But this is their group, and they do all kinds of beautiful things with outreach. So you want to talk about an example of Catholicism, of going out and doing works of justice in life. This is what it looks like. This is what life and justice looks like. So thank you so much for sending those, Daphne. And then I have one more for everybody. This is a excellent example of the domestic church. It's a dog watching Conversing Clergy with Father Ricardo praying the rosary. So beautiful, 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 beautiful image. I just want to frame it and put it on the wall. All right, there you go. Oh, I'm sorry. Daphne Reyes said it was Jackie Wilson that did the image there of Sister Lucy. Sorry about that. Daphne, you're very good, very honest. Not keeping that credit there. So good. All right, I do want to share with you also that we will have another series. We'll have not another series, but we'll have one more episode with Rich, right? We'll have part 4 next week.
Right, on socialism.
Yeah, so that's going to be our next Conversing Clergy. I'm going to change the title then, because I very creatively put on here questions every Catholic needs to ask before voting, and I put on there, wait for it, part 4, because I'm trying to break out of the box there. Part 3 was today, next week part 4, but I'm going to change it. But so it's going to be on socialism. I always want to make sure that we are on the same page there, but so it'll be about socialism and capitalism.
Right, that's it.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good one. So 8 p.m. and I promise not to go too much on a rant next time. But I'm very glad that all of you were able to join us. And I also want to, unfortunately, we don't have time for Q&A, but we had a lot of good questions that came up, and I don't see a lot of questions coming up anyway. So like half the questions were about what the Pope had said. So I think we had kind of covered that. And we'll address it again once we hear more from the Vatican. So we want to help guide everybody through it. All right. So if you want to continue in connection with us, just one more reminder to hit the like on Facebook or follow it. And also on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button and also the bell to receive notifications whenever we go live or when we publish our videos. So every Tuesday, we have our rosary in Spanish. Every Thursday, we have our rosary in English. Every Thursday, our rosary in English. Every Wednesday, our program at 8 p.m. on different topics. And we also publish videos once a week. We try to get some videos out once a week regarding the different homilies that we preach. And also, I want to say an extra special thanks to our Patreon patrons. And I would like to thank by name and recognize our top contributors, our active interlocutors. So Mary Mesquite, Robert Sachery, I got it right. Yeah.
You got it right.
Robert Sasheri, Karen Kubos, Michael De Nicola, Lori Nelson, Suzanne Perez, and Ulises Osoro. So thank you so much. And I want to thank all of our Patreon patrons who help us, because we do have expenses for Conversing Clergy with regard to different subscriptions with different programs, and also to help pay for our equipment that we have that we use in order to provide the best production quality that we can for you, to make it enjoyable, and also to get the word out and to really help people to converse with us and to, in that, experience conversation with Jesus Christ himself. If you want to become a Patreon, you are a Patreon patron, you're welcome to do so. Patreon.com/conversingclergy. We have it below on our YouTube and above on our Facebook page, and we'd be happy to bring you on board. I also want to let you know that if you want to give to St. Bartholomew, you can go to givebart.com, and there you can sign up for Faith Direct to give to St. Bartholomew. And if you can't give, please remember not to worry about that, because we're all, we all have various levels of giving. The most important thing is to pray for your parish, whichever parish you are at. That is the most powerful thing that you can do. If you want to send us any memes or pictures of the domestic church, you can send them to cmeyer@st-bart.org, and then we'll try our best to get your meme or your picture of the domestic church into our weekly program. So I think that might be pretty much it. I think one more thing I want to announce is that we do have our Latin Mass tomorrow, traditional Latin Mass. That will be tomorrow evening. I think we start at 7 p.m.
7 o'clock.
Yeah,
yes.
7 o'clock p.m. Father David Angelino will be the presider for that Mass. So you're welcome to come to that Mass. I have at the very beginning, I was confused when I attended it, and I was thinking, yeah, I can see why they changed it to the Novus Ordo, right? And then the last one, though, it was a very powerful experience when I realized that the most powerful thing we do in the Mass isn't that we're saying stuff, or getting up and down and kneeling, etc. That's all important, but it's the adoration. It's simply adoring our Lord and adoring the mystery that is happening in front of us. Adoration is the most powerful thing that we do as human beings. The highest choir of angels is the seraphim, and they are not active in the constant activities of the human race. They are the highest because they contemplate God, and they burn with his divine radiance. So that's why they're called seraphim. Anyway, so I invite you to check it out, experience it for yourself. It's not mandatory. We're not going back to the Latin Mass, by the way. People wonder, are we going to make everything Latin? It's like, no. This is just there as an enrichment for people to experience if they're interested. So anything else, Deacon Bill? You got anything on your side?
No.
How's adoration going?
Going great.
Yeah, we got enough sign-ups?
Yeah. Well, we can always use sign-ups.
Okay.
Because we're actually shooting for at least a minimum of 3 in each hour rather than just 2. We're going for 3.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, and thank you so much if you signed up to be an adorer to help with that.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Rich, did you have anything before we close up?
No, thanks again for having me on. Looking forward to next week. And it's just great to see you, Deacon Bill, again there. First time in a while, I guess, huh?
Yes, it's been a while.
I still think
you came out and did some talks on the Blessed Mother.
Yeah, I still think that's an Aggie shirt. You just don't want to admit it, right?
No, that's the St. Bartholomew shirt.
Well, Deacon Bill is holy. Yeah. In fact, I'll make one more comment, then we'll close with the Salve Regina. But there were people that were saying that they wanted to vote for you as president or Supreme Court. Well, they don't know that you can't be voted in as Supreme Court, but if we could, you'd have my vote.
My gosh,
that's for sure, definitely. All right, we're going to go ahead and close with the Salve Regina and then a final blessing. Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, et spes nostra salve. A te clamamus, exules filii Heve, a te suspiramus, gementes et flentes, in hac lacrimarum vale. Ea ergo, advocata nostra, illos tuos, misericordes oculos,
ad nos converte. Et Iesum benedictum fructum ventris tui, nobis post hoc exilium ostende. O clemens, o pia, o dulcis Virgo Maria.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
May Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
My name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew here in Katy, Texas.
And I'm Deacon Bill Wagner, one of the deacons at St. Bartholomew's.
And I'm Rich May. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Thank you for joining us, Conversing Clergy, clergy who talk and listen. And remember, because he loved us first, we seek to do his will.
Here I am at your door. Would you let me